merger and acquisition. We often confuse between consolidation, mergers, and acquisition. They are actually three different things. Consolidation is when firm A plus firm B equals to firm C. Meanwhile, merger is when firm A plus firm B equals to firm A plus B. For acquisition is when firm A plus firm B, it's either equals firm A or firm B. Now we will focus more about mergers and acquisition. For merger is the combining of two or more companies. There are several types of mergers. There is statutory merger, which is only one corporation survived, in which the surviving firm is incorporated. Another one is subsidiary merger, is when the target company becomes the subsidiary of the parent company. The other one is horizontal merger. It's when the two firms in the same line of industry combine. For example, car industry. Two car companies combine to become one company. The other one is vertical merger, is when two firms are in different stage of value chains. For example, like Amazon and PayPal. They complement each other. The last one is conglomerate merger. It's when a different line of business combine. Then the differences between merger and acquisition. Acquisition is when one company purchases another company by acquiring a controlling interest in its shares. There are also key participants for M&A process. The key participants, there is investment banker who provide clients with strategic and tactical advice, acquisition opportunities, screen potential buyers and sellers. They also do negotiation and deal with structuring with support. The other key participant is lawyer. Lawyer usually provides specialized legalized document. So they usually do the employee benefits, the tax, real estate, antitrust, securities, environment, and intellectual property. The other participant is accountant. Accountant usually provide advice on the optimal tax structure, on financial structuring, and on performing due diligence. They usually just take care of the financial report of the target company. The other one is proxy solicitor. Proxy solicitor is usually compile list of shareholders' addresses, and to design strategies to educate the shareholders, they usually just communicate why shareholders should follow their recommendation. They cannot promoting the M&A process to those shareholders in either the acquiring companies or the target companies. The other one is institutional investors. Institutional investors usually are the private and public pension funds company or insurance companies or maybe investment companies, bank trust departments, and mutual funds. The other one is arbitrageurs. Arbitrageurs are the investors who attempt to profit from small differences between the offer price for a target firm and its actual share price. Next, how come M&A could occur? Like, what are their motivations? The first motivation is synergy. Synergy is the increase in the shareholder value of combining two firms rather than operating them individually. So synergy is more like 1 plus 1 is not equal to 2, but 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. There are two types of synergy. The first one is operating synergy, which gains in operating efficiency from either economies of scale or economies of scope, and from improved managerial practices. Economies of scale is fixed per unit cost decline as output increases. So as we produce more, the fixed price will definitely just decrease. Economies of scope is producing multiple products or services with the same resources. For example, rubber industry can produce eraser from rubber, and they can also produce wheel from the same material. The other synergy is financial synergy. Financial synergy is lowering the cost of capital of combined firms, reducing transaction-related costs associated with issuing new securities, and better matching of opportunities with internally generated funds. The other motivation for mergers and acquisition is strategic realignment. Strategic realignment is the use of M&A to adjust rapidly to changes in a firm's external environment, for example, technological change or deregulation. The other motivation here, there is buying undervalued asset. Buying undervalued asset is when the acquiring firms market values are less than their values. So basically this motivation is that the acquired firms buy the target firms whose cost less than it's supposed to be. The next motivation is tax consideration. It's more like making the acquired firms paying less tax liability to reduce the acquired firm's tax liability. Next, there is hubris or managerial pride. Hubris or managerial pride is that when managers of the acquiring firm believe that their valuation of the target firm is superior to the market's. The next motivation is market power. It's when firms combine to improve their ability to set product prices at levels not sustainable in a more competitive market. The last motivation is diversification. For this diversification, it's when the acquiring firms outside of a firm's current primary line of business. So there are two types of diversification. The first one is related diversification. It is when the acquiring firms whose products differ from those of the acquirer or whose markets differ from those of the acquirer but not both. And the other one is unrelated diversification. It's when the acquiring firms' products and markets are totally different from those of the acquiring firms. After that, there is overpayment due to overestimating synergy. It's usually because of the managerial pride, or as we call hubris. It leads to this overpayment due to overestimating synergy, which acquirers tends to overpay for growth firms based on their historical performance. Then they're supposed to get paid. The next one is slow pace of integration. It's when key employees and customers are lost during periods of uncertainty associated with protracted periods of integration. It's because they're just uncertain what happened with the company, what will they get, what's gonna happen to them, how fast is delivery is gonna be, or how slow is the delivery is gonna be, or what's gonna happen with the employees. They're just uncertain. The next one is poor strategy. This may be because this may be too complicated to execute the mergers and acquisition process, or may not satisfy the customer's priority needs, and history actually leads to failure. That's all from me. Thank you.